All right, everyone, welcome back. So, we continue on our 2023-2024 season previews with the New York Islanders today. We're obviously not just continuing, we're actually concluding with the season previews today. So, this is the final one. If you're wondering, where's my team at? It's already posted. This one is the final team that we need to do, but regardless, the New York Islanders, obviously, they're a team that is always profiled as a mid team and really or a mediocre team. Really, there is no other way to compare to describe them because honestly, they are at that point. They really are. I mean, like, just the forward core is old and aging. The defense, pretty much the same thing. And then the goaltending is great, but it's still not. They're just still in that really weird spot. But regardless, last season they went 42, 31, and 9 for 93 points. They were 15th in the NHL, and they lost in round one to the Carolina Hurricanes. So here's my problem. That season was obviously, I feel like that's going to be their best point with this core from now on. Like, realistically, when I look at this Islanders team, I can't see them going any further than that ever again. I really can't see them finishing higher in the standings with the core that they have. They're either going to be that or they're going to be worse. Like, there really is no in between. I just hate the position that they're in. I hate it. I genuinely hate it. They have a awful prospect pool. The forward core is all right, but it's aging, and it's just overall they're just not in a good spot. Your departures list goes as follows, and it's a short one. You have Josh Bailey, Zach Parise, and Parker Wotherspoon. So obviously they're Bailey. They wanted to buy out his contract to have some cap space to work with, to which they signed Mayfield, Sorokin, Varlamov, and others. Parise was not bad, veteran presence type guy. There are rumors that he's going to retire. There's also rumors that he could come in mid-season, so I wouldn't rule out a return just yet. That could very well happen. And then Wotherspoon was more or less a depth guy. I don't think he was making impacts on this lineup. Your rivals list is only one guy, and it's Julien Gauthier. He's going to be a solid guy on that right wing core, either playing probably a fourth line or just a depth guy, honestly, at that point. But yeah, like, I wasn't lying when I said that they really can't do much either because they're up against the cap. Like, they really can't go out and, like, they can't trade Horvat, Barzal. They can't go out and acquire some big guy on the market to help out, the defense or the goaltending or something like that. They can't do that because they don't have money. They simply don't have money. And I'm not blaming Lamoriello at all for this. The contracts that they signed, the Mayfield contract, the Sorokin contract, such and such, really show that they're locking down on the core that they have. And that's not necessarily, it is not the best thing to do with the core that they have. Like, they're going to be mediocre probably for a few years. But I don't blame him for doing it. He doesn't have a lot of other options. He can't move those guys for legitimate assets. So you might as well just lock in on the guys you have. So, yeah, I don't blame him for taking that approach. Your lineup now goes as follows. This is via the Hockey News, so don't come at me for these stats. You got Anders Lee, Bo Horvat, and Kyle Palmieri as your first line. Then you got Pierre Engvall, Matthew Barzal, and Oliver Wahlstrom as your second line. So, yeah, a solid top six. Lee, Horvat, and Palmieri probably your best line there. I would imagine Wahlstrom could get some time up on that first line over Palmieri. But regardless, it's still solid. It's a good top six. I like it. Engvall has become an underrated player. I've liked the way he's played. Your bottom six now goes as follows. You have Hudson Fasching, Brock Nelson, Simon Holmstrom, I believe is his name. Yep, Simon Holmstrom. And then you got Matt Martin, John Gabriel Pajot, and Cal Clutterbuck as your fourth line. Then for some extra guys, you got Ross Johnston, Casey Zizekas, and Julien Gauthier. So, yeah, the bottom six is, like, unknown to a lot of people. People are not going to know who Simon Holmstrom is. People aren't going to know who Hudson Fasching is. Like, those guys are players that on other teams, they would be depth forwards. They would be AHL guys. But in this case, they're not on the Islanders. And that's why I think they're just so kind of mediocre. Like, honestly, like, you you have a bottom six that is somewhat recognizable, like Nelson, Pajot, you're going to recognize those guys, but like it just doesn't have much skill or much talent either. Like more or less, like Fasching and Holmstrom, they play well. They play the right style they need to, but it just isn't ideal for New York at all. And that's my biggest X factor. It's the forward core. How is the forwards going to do? I'm not worried about the defense or the offense or the goaltending. It's mainly the forward core. Is the forward core going to provide enough offense for an already defensively minded team to get them to the playoffs? I think possibly. I mean, like, you could probably see another 65-point season out of Horvat, but nothing more than that. He's at the point in his career where he's not going to score that anymore. He might. We might be wrong, but honestly, it just doesn't look good. And honestly, the youngest player that I see in that top six, just the top six, is Oliver Wahlstrom. Like, all of those guys are either, I think, like 26 or older, honestly. So, yeah, like I said, it's just rough for them on that forward core. Your defense now goes as follows. You got Adam Pelech and Ryan Pulock as your first pairing. Then you got Sebastian Aho and Noah Dobson as your second pairing. Then you got Alexander Romanov and Scott Mayfield as your third pairing. And then Zachary Bolduc and Robin Salo as your extra defenders. So, again, not a bad blue line. I like it. I like the top four. I think Aho's done well. I think the first pairing's been great. Dobson, one of my favorite defenders to watch. Just overall, I'm not worried about the defense. I think it's good. And for an already defensively minded team, it's still it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, and then you got your goaltending. It's Sorokin and Varlamov, and then you got Skarek. I think it's Jacob Skarek as a third string goalie. So yeah, obviously Sorokin carried the hell out of the Islanders last year. If they're gonna make the playoffs, just the playoffs, he's gonna have to do that again for sure. But yeah, obviously Sorokin, definitely a talent there. Your biggest question is mediocrity. I mean, like, honestly, like, there's really nothing else I can think of. Like, are they going to go back to the playoffs? Are they going to have this same record they had? Are they going to be able to do anything in the playoffs? Like, honestly, like, they don't have cap space. That's the biggest thing that I mentioned. Like, they don't have money to go out and make moves. They can't do much at the trade deadline this coming year. They made the Horvat trade, and that's probably about it we're going to see from them for the foreseeable future. I hate to admit it, and maybe I'm being too harsh on them, but, like, I just can't see it. And, you know, the contracts they signed, again, they're really doubling down on the guys they have, which, again, isn't, like, the worst thing in the world to do, but they're not going to be a competitive team for a while. So it's unfortunate, but they probably are going to be in that Vancouver Canucks type era for probably, like, 2 more years, if we're being realistic. Maybe longer than that, honestly. Your point projections now are via the Hockey News' fantasy guide. You got Nelson in first with 73, Barzal in second with 70, Horvat in third with 65, Dobson in fourth with 54, and then Lee in fifth with 48. Your sleeper or your bust is Bo Horvat. When Bo Horvat moved to Long Island, his blistering goal-scoring pace cratered, as was expected. He's capable of potting 30 goals, but being used as a matchup center when playing on a lesser power play means his numbers are going to drop. And yes, that is the biggest thing. When the Islanders got Horvat, he was on a career-high season, as it's said in here. And yeah, he's capable of a 30-goal season, but that's probably it. Like, he's probably going to score around 60, 70 points. He's not going to be that, he put up like 80 last year? He's not going to do that again. I hate to say it. I love Horvat, but I just can't see it happening again. It's unfortunate, but yeah, his numbers are going to drop, so expect that. But yeah, we're going to see how they're going to be this coming year. But yeah, that does it for your 23-24 season preview for the New York Islanders. And that does it for all the season previews for 23-24 season. Anyways, thank you all for watching. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I greatly appreciate it. Obviously, we're going to do other previews. Like we got the AHL preview on Sunday. ECHL, KHL, WHL, CHL, NCAA. All that good stuff will be coming out over the next couple of weeks. Obviously, so stay tuned for all those videos. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.